Some major news have just broke just today. Things that Trump has done, actually how he's absolutely furious with several senators, which he should be, because again, they're Republicans not supporting the president, which proves my point each and every day that we talk about this, that a lot of the problem stems from Congress, by the way. But we're going to dive into what he just stated. He dropped some major news, and he's going to be dropping some other things. We're going to talk about some of the things that Trump is doing right now. Also, we're going to discuss, again, the amount of fraud that is going on as we speak. Whose fault is that? Congress and Senate. I keep harking on this because we need to. It's very, very important. So what is happening when it comes to dangers of, conflict worldwide? Well, if you remember, yesterday I told you that Russia warned its citizens, any citizens living in Israel or any friends of theirs living in Israel, to pull out. We saw the doomsday plane for America get in the air yesterday. We saw the budget, $500 billion to $1.5 trillion in a major expenditure for the military. What is taking place? What is going on? And they're also trying to firm up some of these defense contracts. I think we need to discuss the dangers of what is coming our way and how we can prepare for it. Let's dive into all these stories and so many more. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I have channels on all those platforms. A lot of those deal with quick news that I want to mention or just parts of my farm. I want you to see how we live sustainable in homesteading. So please go check those out. I think you will really enjoy those channels because not only are you getting a little news, but you're also getting how we do what we do. So go check those out. Now let's jump into the stories today. First, let's talk about Trump and two major announcements he made before we go into some of his new stuff that he's wanting to do. Two major things. He came out and he was absolutely furious with a few senators. Let's go over that story because, again, I told you a few days ago that the Senate cannot pass the SAVE Act. The Senate cannot actually do a voters registration bill. The Senate cannot actually codify any of these things that Trump wanted done. They can't do any of that. They keep saying, well, they don't have the votes. They can't even put the judges through. They can't do any appointments through. But in a matter of 2 to 3 days, the Republicans that are worthless and the Democrats can come together and vote to not go any further in Venezuela. Now, Trump's goal was not to go any further in Venezuela with military action, but the impact of what we're doing depends on us making sure that we get what we wanted when we wanted it. I'm sorry you don't like the American empire and how it's built, but that's how we work. We need the oil, we need the benefits. We also save a lot of people from the drug issues. And here's what happened. So they can't vote on anything else. Been a year, can't vote on anything that actually the Trump administration wants, but they can pass this act to try to get power away from Trump. See, here's the thing. The Senate, Congress are worthless, but they don't want anyone acting like they could do more than them. They want everybody to be worthless in Washington, so everybody plays on the same scheme and everybody does tons of loads of fraud. Because basically, they can't pass anything, but then when it comes to someone trying to overstep them like Trump, they're like, oh, no, we have more power, so you have to just come to us to see if it's right. And really what they're saying is, we want to make sure that we can make a whole lot of money out of this before you just go over there and bomb somebody. That's really what it comes down to. This is from Eric Doherty. It says, breaking, President Trump erupts and gets extremely mad at Republican senators who voted to approve the War Powers resolution that would rein in his Venezuela operations. It says, we should, and he had in capital letters, this is what I want to see this year. This is what I want to see go after these senators and congressmen. Never elect these people again. That's what I want to see. He calls out Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young, and they should never be elected to office again. I fully agree with that. You know why? Because if they're wearing R behind their name, like Trump is, and they're supposedly supporting the president, they shouldn't go against him, especially knowing he's not going in there for a 20-year war. Come on, people. These are sleaze bags, man, I'm telling you. It says, the vote greatly hampers American self-defense and national security, impeding the president's authority as commander-in-chief. In any event, and despite the stupidity of the Wars Power Act, it's unconstitutional. Now again, as I stated for the record, 75 million people voted for President Trump. Let's let him do what he does. because so far he's not let us down, and there's not new wars, and he's actually made more money for America than any other time and any other president. Not only that, he's getting us new renegotiated contracts with all our trade partners. You may not like it, but it actually has benefited, even down to where the Fed and the banks are having to admit to it now. Also, these senators, they're worthless. And if they can't support the president, why do we keep electing these? I mean, I tell you all the time, please quit electing these people. Please stand up in your state and get rid of these people, because what they're going to do when it comes down to election time, they're going to get very, well, we're for Trump. We're gonna do so much. We're going to do this. They try to get more conservative for you, and all they are is establishment garbage. Listen to this. It says totally violating the Articles 2 of the Constitution, where the president has powers, and along with their Department of Justice, to determine before. He said, nevertheless, it's more important. The Senate vote that will be taken next week is very to this subject. He's absolutely furious. He says, basically, you can vote to stop me from actually being successful, but y'all can't do absolutely anything when it comes to actually passing law in America, to make law and to make things better for Americans. Voter registration, SAVE Act, get rid of the filibuster, and actually start doing your job. But, you know, in a two or 3 day period, they can round them up and we can vote on the War Powers Act against the president. Basically, they're trying to rein in Trump because they see him being successful, and they don't need people to be successful. You ever heard of grading on the curve? Well, when you're in school and you all are lazy and no one wants to do the job of actually studying, no one wants that guy to make an A, because then if they grade on the curve, then everybody else doesn't get the benefit of grading on the curve. So what they want everybody to be just average. They want everybody to be a little bit less than average. They want everybody to not try their best, because that curve would allow them to look like they've done really well. Well, that's kind of what our Senate does and our Congress does and bureaucracy does. They don't want anybody to shine, because if they shine, it shows how bad they suck. And our Congress and senators, they actually suck really bad. So therefore, if Trump does well, they get upset. They're like, well, you can't do that. We got to grade on the curve here, Trump. We got to make sure everybody believes that we're actually doing something while we're still in their money. It's that simple. This is from the Patriot Oasis. Listen, it says, it's now revealed that U.S. loses an estimated, listen to this, I can't say that enough, $233 to $521 billion worth of fraud a year. Let me say that again. $250 to $500 billion a year in fraud. That they said this actually is probably on the low end. It could be actually closer to $775 to $1 trillion a year. Elon Musk actually said it's probably closer to $900 billion to $1 trillion a year. So when I go back to this story of Trump doing well and trying to make money for America, trying to bring in money for America, trying to renegotiate tariffs, trying to get more oil and things in our hemisphere that benefits us. You have people like Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and all these Republicans, Senator Murkowski, and all these losers that are trying to stop him because they want to hold his power. They want to be over his power. Because boy, they have proven how good they are, huh? The Senate, Congress have done so much for you. That's a lie. They've done nothing for you but regulate you and calls for this fraud. Senate appropriations, House appropriations, and the way they do budgeting and finance, they are the ones to tell where the money goes. So, you know, when we talk about going to these learning centers, or we go into this fire prevention, or we're going to this special interest, or we're going to this lobbying group, they're the ones that allocates it, and they're the ones that know about the fraud. Now, they can act dumb and act like dunces to you, but they're the ones causing the fraud. Now, that's what Elon was trying to expose, and that's why his life is in danger now, because he actually was trying to tell you the truth, that these people are all frauds. And that's why they should be exposed. That's why Trump started naming names, to say these people are taking advantage of you. You know, I wanted to try it just to say, is when, you know, our phone's listening to us, the information that we put on there, how dangerous is it for us? Are we actually compromised? So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Google, and I'm just going to Google one of my sister's names. So I typed in her name. All of a sudden, I started realizing my oldest sister's old address from 4 years ago was on there. Our home phone number was listed on there from when I was a kid. Not only that, it gave emails. It gave all this information So I called her and I said, do you realize I can get all this information, probably take out a few credit cards, open new accounts? It blew her mind. I want you to try this too. I want you to go and just Google one of your family members' names. Not to be a creeper or anything, but I want you to just test my theory. Go out there and just Google. It will blow your mind at what you can find out about your family members. The sad thing about when you search, a lot of this information, a lot of these websites, a lot of the places that you go are ran by data brokers. They're getting your information, and guess what? They're sharing it with people who are not the most reputable, maybe even on the dark web. From scammers to spammers, none of these people are actually looking out for your well-being and your information. Now, here's the thing. They're not legally able to have your information if you tell them to take your information off. But I'll be honest with you. If you start looking online and you realize how many people have your information, it's almost impossible for you to go to all these companies and say, please, take my information off your sites. See, that's the benefit of my sponsor today, Aura. Aura comes alongside you. They work to do just that, to take your information away from being vulnerable, away from being compromised, from the people that want to scam you and spam you all the time. Aura identifies all the data brokers that are getting your information, and they give an opt-out clause, meaning they cannot legally have your information anymore. It's kind of like having a house and having doors and having locks and never locking the door. Aura allows you to lock the door. Give Aura just a few weeks. I promise you what you're going to see is your information is going to start being yours again. You're going to realize the spammers and scammers are going to stop. Aura also continuously monitors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're going to make sure they let you know if it is. Also, they have a world-class VPN to keep you safe as you search the internet. Do not miss out on this opportunity to utilize Aura to benefit you and your family's safety online. Remember, let's lock the door. You can go to my link below, aura.com/themacs. It's in the description. When you click on that, you're getting a 14-day free trial. In that 14 days, you're going to realize all the benefits of what they're doing. They're going to opt your information out from being vulnerable and compromised. Check out Aura today, aura.com/themacs. Do not miss out on this opportunity to have this free trial along with your safety. Did you read that story? It's alleged, but just go check it out. It showed that Rand Paul was a big proponent against the Venezuela situation. And if you looked at it, allegedly, he was one of the highest paid people, Senate, back in America from some of the Venezuela intelligence, from some of the big players in Venezuela. The money that flowed and filtered back to America, he was a pretty good recipient of it, is what the report said, allegedly. But if you start looking at it, you're like, well, that makes perfect sense. That's why he doesn't want Trump to actually be successful here. I mean, is that not just make you very mad? I get so angry that I work extremely hard every day of my life from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day doing 2 to 3 jobs to provide for my family, for these Congress and these Senate and the bureaucracy of this government to tax me and steal my money and then all of a sudden waste it or use it frivolously or just absolutely launder it. I get emotional about it. Now this is huge. And if you remember when this Venezuela thing happened, the Mexican president was like, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. A lot of these Latin American countries did that, but it's because they're probably tied to the same drug trafficking issues and cartels that Venezuela was. But listen to this. It says, this is from President Trump, and man, it made people go crazy. I love this. This is almost like a trolling thing that Trump does. President Trump just announced that U.S. military land strikes against cartels, specifically mentioning Mexico, these are going to happen hitting land, and regarding to the cartels are running in Mexico, and we're going after them. He calls it out. I love this. I love this. I will say this. I'm a loving, warm-hearted person when it comes to my family. I care for people. I have a big heart. I want to give people food at Thanksgiving. I want to help them throughout the year. I love ministry. I love helping people. But when it comes to like this business sense that Trump's got, this, and I don't want to say cold-hearted because it makes it sound like he's not caring, but I love this non-emotional, not getting angry. This is what my goal is, and this is what I'm going to do to help America. He made a comment the other day. He said, I have money. I don't need any more money. And to be honest with you, I was way more popular before. I'm doing this because there's a purpose of helping America. That's the kind of man. You may not like him, and he may not be perfect, but to go after these terrorists and to go after these cartels and to go after these people that's causing problems in our hemisphere, why in the world would we be against that? That's why I don't understand why these Democrats march in the streets with other flags. It makes no sense. That's not freedom of speech to me. That is hatred towards America. Trump could say, I'm going to cut property tax, cut income tax, give all your money back, shut down and dismantle the government, and there will be someone complain about they want to pay taxes. They want the government to keep wasting their money. I mean, that's what's happening basically with those, and that's what's happening with Trump saying that, look, we're going to stop all this waste, fraud, and abuse, and then everybody else is like, no, we've got to keep it going. It's like the other day, did you hear the judge, after RFK came out, the Trump administration came out and said, we're getting the stuff and the harmful chemicals out of school lunches. We have deemed it unnecessary to put that in lunches. There was a judge that actually said, no, we want to put that in there. Wait, what? We had a judge that was appointed by Obama say that she would rather have the chemicals in the food because the Trump administration was basically voting against it. So she was for it. At the same time, we have judges that are voting to keep people here illegally to get more of ours and their tax dollars instead of actually deporting them where they could go back to their own country and so that money could stay here. That's how much hatred they have towards President Trump. Well, President Trump said, look, we're going after him no matter what. I mean, he has really nothing to lose here, and he needs to go, and he's trying to save America. And the reason I love this is because this proves my point. The world leaders are going absolutely bonkers. Listen to this. It says, European leaders are closely monitoring the situation for violations of international law. They're very strongly wording tweets and letters to say Trump cannot go into other countries and actually get rid of all these bad players. Who cares what the EU says? They're such a fallen country and empire. Why do we really care about Great Britain, Germany, or any of those people? Truthfully, why? Why do we care? I mean, like, they're like trying to slap our hands instead of going to Greenland. If we want Greenland, if Trump wants Greenland, just take it. I mean, I'm just kind of over it. It's like, why are we being so petty? I mean, the cartels are they're trafficking our children and bringing drugs here, and we have Democrats saying, you can't do that. We even have people like Rand Paul, you can't do that. Why not? If someone was trying to harm my child, I don't care what right he had. He's not going to have any rights anymore because he probably didn't have an arm when I get finished with him. Because I want to rip it off and beat him with it. The point of the story here is, if someone is harming us, why are we not wanting to make sure that we are protecting ourselves? I believe that's what Trump is doing. I get extremely disturbed by the other side and even the rhinos and even the people that don't like Trump, all in the name of they're literally pushing for more waste, fraud, and abuse, more violations of our laws, more regulations, more taxations, instead of just saying we want the best for Americans. $500 billion a year at least in fraud. $500 billion. Said that's probably more than that. It's probably closer to $1 trillion. And they want to keep on wasting it and keep on grading on the curve so that way no one actually is successful in government. It's pathetic. The last story I want to talk about. If you remember, I said this yesterday. Israel was basically sending a warning out that Russia was pulling back its citizens, and they were telling people to stray out of Israel because of the dangers of what was coming. Now, that come on the same time, very coincidental, maybe, or something major, that Trump added $1 trillion in spending for self-defense. Also did some finagling with this the Department of Defense and some of the contractors, like some of the big players, to say, look, either you got to start building things and helping us. We're not just going to give you a free check anymore, or we're going to hire more people to do this job. So it kind of made some people ruffle their feathers. But the purpose was they were really trying to grow the defense. They talked about the Golden Dome. Andrew Palmer-Luckey came out the other day and said he's got some drone technology that will help defend America, which is great. And then all of a sudden, this took place too. I want to read two things, one from Russia and one from America. And this is something we need to pay attention to. This is from World News. It says, alert, in a jaw-dropping escalation, Russian President Vladimir Putin appeared in a full combat uniform and issued a dire warning to Ukraine. And Kiev refuses peace. Russia will crush all of them in a special military operation through pure military force. Now, one thing about the Venezuela thing, I think it gave Putin and Xi, I don't think they're going to say anything really to Trump because they know it gives them a little bit of more opportunity to deal with their hemisphere, things like Taiwan and Ukraine. Doesn't mean we like it, it's just honest. And to be honest with you, again, Not that I don't want to see any people group taken over, but it's just really not our fight. We don't need to be in the Middle East. We don't need to be in Russia. We don't need to be in China. We need to be in America and dealing with American prosperity. Look, I'm all for this Greenland and Venezuela and Panama Canal, making sure they're shored up. Not saying that we need them, but I'm saying these people are the ones around us. They're the ones that impact us the most. Mexico, Canada impact us the most. South America impacts us the most because they're tied to us. They're combined with our landmass. It's not a situation where we have to worry about China, Russia, or anyone in Yugoslavia. I mean, because that's not really our battles over there. So what Russia is saying is, look, we're stepping it up. Now that comes on the same time, the Israel situation comes at the same time with our budget raises with defense. Comes at the same time that we've really built up our military. We've seen a major buildup of our military. And that's, again, not a bad thing for defense. But this is something else that happened just today. The Doomsday Plane for America is in motion. The E-4B Doomsday Plane, a flying nuclear war command bunker built to keep the U.S. government running if anything and everything collapses, was quietly spotted taking off from Los Angeles International Airport Thursday night into the wee mornings of Friday. It says this plane almost never flies publicly, and it doesn't do it in routine reasons. It's definitely something they're relocating for a reason behind the scenes. It says when this government's last resort survival aircraft moves in silent, it means something is preparing for a major scenario that no one's discussing out loud. This doesn't mean this in the world situation, may not, but it does mean that there is some risk. And why are they flying this plane? Another individual came out with and says the standard of this is when they move this, it's around $300,000 to $400,000 an hour because of all the things it has. It says when it moves, there's a purpose. It's not just moving just for the heck of it. He says if you think about the Maduro situation, you think about the Iran's army, you think about the revolutionary thing that's going on right now in Iran, you think about Russians' major warning, you hear about Israel saying, look, Russia's telling their people to move out. There's a lot of peculiar things happening, and then all of a sudden our doomsday plane goes up in the air. The Pentagon has it going somewhere. We don't know where. It's speculative that it's flying on some kind of industrial tour, but there's no real proof of it. So here's some things, just real quick. Our dollar's not strong, we know that. Our debt's too much, we know that. Our Congress and Senate are not helping us, we know that. We're getting taxed out the yin yang. Our insurance is costing too much. Inflation's too much. And I don't blame any of this on Trump. I'm blaming this on the world that we live in and America that we live in. We have strayed so far from God, and we've allowed for abortions to still happen. We've allowed for indecencies to still happen in our world. We're allowing now for our cities to burn down. It's a week into 2026, and we already have marches going on in all these cities. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Here, if you don't hear anything for this whole video, hear this. You are made for this time. God has you here for a purpose. We don't understand it. We don't understand why things are going on. We can't fix a lot of the stuff. We can talk about it, and we hope that we can make an impact, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we can fix it. But you can protect your family. You can love your wife. You can love your husband. You can get out of debt personally. You can stockpile things that bring value. You can defend your home. For Christmas, I myself and my son picked up some more self-defense things that help us guard our homes. Remember, my goal is to have family all live on our property, and that means we want to defend our property. And part of the defense of our property is prepping and preparing for crazy things to happen. We have a lot of assets here on the farm. The last thing we want to do is just let somebody come in here and just commandeer them. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but when you have cities that are going up in flames right now, and you have a doomsday plane going, you have heavy talk from world leaders against America, such as the EU, and then on top of that, you have our Congress and Senate who don't really look out for us. We need to pay attention to what's going on and prepare. I cannot say this enough. Things are not going to get a lot better in America until we either have major revival or a major reset. Some kind of reawakening. That could be very good and in a humble way that we can humble ourselves, like in the Bible where it talks about God's people, or it could be that we get humbled, and that's scary. Either way, something major has got to happen, or we're going down a toilet bowl. It's just going around and around and around. Sorry, guys. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. Give me your thoughts. Comment below. Tell me on each of these stories, 1, 2, 3, this is what I think, because what it does is it helps people get other opinions on these same subjects. Thank you again for watching. God bless.